Welcome to episode 29. We're talking about protection today. And I just wanted to introduce the show because I haven't been here in so long. Shit. Remember me? My name's Val.
I'm sorry, who are you? What do you do again? What's your role here?
It's undecided.
You look fun. Can you come do a show with us?
We found her on the street, little Mexican Val, so.
I prefer Jamaican, okay?
Pardon. My apologies, Jamaican Val.
Why are you so tan? Like next to me, I'm like, are we the same race? I'm confused what's going on.
I like that Val and I actually do look the same race, and I am a legit Latina.
I
so.
know. It's true. I feel like Val's mic's really high. You like it really high?
Val or Ani, because you pointed to mine and said
I'm
Val.
sorry.
Mine's regular.
No, this is pretty
Stop
normal.
hiding behind your mic.
It's yours.
No.
So in case you want to watch the shit show that's currently happening right now, go to BigMoneyStylistNow.com and you can actually watch what's happening all the time. Danielle's having a bit of smiling issues today. She's nervous to smile. So
I'll tell
it's
you
okay.
guys later.
It's a fun story for another day. So
It's a bad story.
no, it's a good one. I like it.
I have to tell you guys now, because we already added it. I tried to get Botox in my chin, and I can't smile. And if I drool on this show, I'm sorry. If you get Botox, don't get it in your chin.
Just move your mic up a little so it covers the bottom part of your mouth.
I'm gonna have to go like this when I talk, guys. It's cool.
You're like one of those puppet things.
I have to operate my chin.
You're a ventriloquist doll.
Holy shit. This just really got out of hand in the first 1 minute and 30
All right,
seconds.
bring us in.
Okay, so today's topic, now that the team is all back together, which I'm super stoked about, is protection. Every single week we go through one topic: power, production, profit, protection, and this tends to be the spicy one. And for once, it's not that not that it's not spicy, but I don't really think I'm throwing anyone on the bus today.
I feel like just how we brought this show in alone, it's not going to be spicy. I don't know what it's going to be.
It's a carefree kind of a day.
I mean, I can talk about how someone told me to fuck off on an email the other day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, BMS Khan number 3 happening this November is actually almost completely sold out. In 12 days, we have sold over 250 tickets.
That's crazy.
It's really like, holy shit, it's just selling out so fast. With that being said, as you heard in last week's podcast, not everybody's accepted. And
But it's weird that people are mad about it. And, like, if you don't get back to them, and then they're like, well, fuck off. And you're like, there's going to be more classes down the road, but you're definitely not going to get in now ever.
I'm going to remember your name now. My favorite part is, it was a dude, and he messaged me back, and he said, well, go fuck yourself then. But he asterisked out the fuck. Like, he couldn't even write the word.
Like, jeez.
I'm like, way to be a giant pussy about it. You can't even yell at me. If you're going to try and curse me out, you should probably just write the curse word, because if not, I can't even take it seriously. I'm like, really? That's what you're going to write? Asterisk me out?
No,
cool. Good talk. But it's blowing my mind right now, because some women are actually, and a couple men, are emailing back, and they're like, well, I don't understand why I was rejected. In your application, instead of typing an answer, you wrote 3 X's so you could avoid typing an answer. What do you mean? What do I mean? You were not accepted.
I think, too, in our industry, it's like when you want to take a class, it's like, hey, fill in your card information, and there you go.
That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. And so people think, like, I bet people think, like, oh, they're not going to read these anyways. Like, I know that.
Totally, that's what they think.
That's what I would think. Like, if I was filling this out, I'd be like, no. Where's the part where I pay? And then I'd be like, oh, shit, I'm at the end of the application. There's nowhere to pay.
Yep.
And I think that people legitimately are just thinking, like, but I would never come back and be like, well, fuck off. I would.
What blows my mind
I would
is
come back and say, I didn't think anybody read this. I'm not going to lie. And I would like to join it. Can I refill out the application? That seems like a better approach.
Totally.
Do you know that I've actually let a couple women refill it out because their friends filled it out correctly? And there's a team that I'm thinking of specifically in mind. One team member filled it out. It was like a good application. And so, of course, I accepted her. And her friend was like, yes, no, maybe. I'm not sure. And I was like, declined. Absolutely not. And she emailed me. She's like, oh, my gosh, why was I declined? Like, my friend was accepted. And I was like, look, it was your application. Like, here's the stuff you wrote. Like, I just can't accept that. She's like, but the space was so tiny, I didn't know I could write more. I'm like, I am getting literal novels from some people. Like, trust me, you can keep writing. So that's, I had one girl, I think she's filled it out 8 times now and has yet to figure out you should probably answer every question. She's still putting X's for anything that requires an explanation.
I have a funny story about an application. So also to come to DKW Styling Salon, we have potential clients fill out an application. And I think it's I don't think there's anything weird about it, especially with hair extensions. Like, we want to find out somebody's hair history. What have they tried? Like, it's pretty standard. And even like a lot of high-end salons, just to get in and book a color, you have to fill out some kind of like form. So I don't really think it's that out of the norm, but I'm always like dumbfounded when somebody is offended that they have to fill out an application. And I recently had a lady who was like, hey, what's the pricing information? And I send everybody like kind of the same. If I get that email, I send everybody the same text, and it's like, hi, thanks for taking an interest in natural beaded rose. For all pricing information, set up a consultation, go to dkwstylingsalon.com.
Right.
And that's all I say. It's pretty straightforward. And then recently, this lady, I could tell she was bugged, but she like emailed me back and was like, sweetie, I went to the website. There's no information about pricing. But sweetie, when somebody emails me back and says sweetie, I'm like, honey baby,
honey boo boo girl,
honey boo. Let's just. So I was like, I'm not going to be a dick about it. I just was like, okay, maybe there's a flaw in the system. So I go on to this website, the link, clicked on it, says apply for MBR here. I click here. I fill out the it's like 6 questions. It's like, and you don't have to write a novel. I just want to know like what kind of hair extensions you tried, whatnot. And at the bottom it says the price range, and then it says click here to schedule a consultation. Yeah. So anyways, I emailed her back, and I was very straightforward, and I said, again, please go visit dkwstylingsalon.com and enter your email, fill out the application. Pricing information is at the bottom. We'd love to set up a consultation with you. And I never heard back from her. But I'm always like surprised when people, I'm like, or like they seem offended. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's how we do the whole process. And she said to me in the email, like when she said honey baby or whatever, she's like, I'm coming all the way from West Hollywood, so I just need to know what I'm getting into. And I wanted to be like,
same. We need to know what we're getting into as well. So
and I'm like,
both.
I wanted to be like, sweetie, 90% of our clientele travels in. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to be rude, but everybody goes through the same process. So anyways, if you are listening to this and you want to take education and you also want to take or come visit the salon and be a client, we need to make sure everybody's a good fit.
Yeah, for sure. So production today.
Yes.
Val, let me ask you a question.
I thought we were on protection. Okay.
We are on protection. I was testing you.
Oh. That is a very dare answer.
Good job, Danielle. You passed. So, Val, when you hear the phrase meltdown territory, what does that mean to you?
Are we talking about me?
No, not you specifically. As a generalized meltdown territory, what does that mean?
Like you're about to hit it. Like you're not there yet, but you're about to like have your meltdown. You're about to freak the fuck out. Shit's about to go sideways. So you are heading in that direction.
Danielle, when you hear the phrase like you're standing on a ledge, what does that mean to you?
I swear I've shared this on like the last 3 shows, but everybody has a bucket and everybody has different levels to their bucket and where they flip their lid. And when I hear meltdown mode, I feel like if you have 17 levels before you hit meltdown mode, you're like at 16.9 and you're about ready to like flip your lid and you're either gonna make it or break it. Like you're either gonna, but what's funny, sometimes when you flip your lid, it actually, I think you're surprised how you do show up. You know what? Sometimes that amount of emotion makes you reevaluate things and actually take the actions necessary to do what you're supposed to be doing. But I just think of like what Val said, just kind of like literally like losing your mind.
You're about to hit rock fucking bottom. Like this is it. Like you're not doing well, whether it be physically, emotionally, like you are in meltdown territory, which is something we talk about a lot with our students, with our own staff, especially like between BMS and Warrior, because it's not easy, man. It's not like an easy game played. And so I know we're always like, is she in meltdown territory? Is he in meltdown territory? Are they on a ledge? Did you talk them off a ledge? Like that's something we say all the time. So let's kind of talk about, I think artists will understand this. For them, it's sometimes called burnout mode or meltdown territory, however you want to word it. But we tell ourselves that, or like we love our job so much because we truly do. Like artists love being there. Like they love doing the hair, that sometimes they grind and grind and grind more and assume it's a good thing when it's not actually serving them.
Right.
Val, Danielle, whoever.
Anyone? Yeah, I think we've said this many times on the show that we've always like measured our success for how busy we are. And then because we do like it, it's really hard for us to tell like each person no, because it's not like a big company. You're like literally saying, no, I can't do your hair to like an actual person and a human who has feelings. And we're not computers either. We have feelings too. So it's much more personal on that. And because we love it, we take on so much. But what happens is you get burned out or you have like your meltdown territory. Then one, you're not producing your best work because you're just like burning out. You're just trying to like You're maintaining. You're trying to just keep your head above water and survive to get to that next moment. You're not enjoying it. You're not doing your best work. And then obviously, like mentally and stuff, like if you're not all there, a lot of shit can go sideways, you know? So I think it's important, and like in protection, that you're protecting your mindset and you're protecting your time as well, so that you are giving your best work.
I think people don't even see the implosion coming, and they just think, if I put in my time, then I'll get my big break. And time doesn't equate to work. It just doesn't. And so people get confused with the two, and they just continue to put in this max amount of time while staying in that burnout zone. And that doesn't really serve you. And then it's like you just hit this place of implosion because you're in such a painful state that things have to shift. And in my experience, that's how I used to experience life. That's how Garrett and I both experience life, is through pain. And I got to this place where I was like, why does every lesson in life have to be painful? And then I realized it's because I'm choosing to take it to that point where it is painful. And now as businesses grow and things like that, I try to correct things before I get to that place of implosion. Because sometimes when you get to that place of implosion too, you have to take a few steps back, you know?
Yep. And it slows you down.
And it slows you down. And sometimes for people, like, it can be a good thing, like I described earlier, because it can actually finally get you to this place where you do shit. But at the same time, you don't want every growth point in your life to be measured based on explosion. You want to be able to recognize the signs early on and protect what you're building and take action before it explodes. And the more you're in business and the more in life you realize that, it takes a lot of courage to do that. Do you know what I mean?
But once you recognize those and then you could like course correct sooner, I think it's such like a game changer. Because I feel like for me, like I'm pretty mellow and not like normally an emotional person. But when I am burning out and reaching that threshold again, I notice I'll take things on like way more emotional, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, and I'll be thinking things through my head, and then I'm like, oh, you're about to lose your mind. So you gotta like, so now I recognize that like so much sooner. If I'm making like all these emotional decisions or having way more emotional feelings than normal, I'm like, okay, I need to evaluate. How can I cut back? What do I need to do to make me not have a meltdown and still keep me moving forward? Because I don't want to like you said, I don't want to like explode, have a meltdown, go backwards, and then it takes me that much longer to catch up, let alone move forward. So I want to recognize the signs early on and then like course correct right there, and then I'm not slowing down. I'm just like veering to the correct way that I need to go to like grow further.
I used to think in order to grow, you had to hit that level of pain. Like I used to think like that's just how you grew and that's how you experienced life. And then I was like, for doing that, there was probably like a 5-year period where I was like, I don't think I can live life at this pace where it's that painful.
Yeah.
And I think in that moment, that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to choose to have courage to correct things before this happens in order to like protect what I built.
Yeah, absolutely. And even inside of that, I think something that I see inside the network all the time with our artists is they are new to this game. And the game that we train and teach inside of BMS it's literally never been seen inside the hair world before. And because of that, they're super excited to like go forward and learn this. And we incorporate so much of the Warriors Way inside of it with the core 4 of Body Being Balanced Business, like everything. They're learning so much, and they're so fucking like amped that they keep doing more and more and more because they're excited. And then what we're actually trying to teach and train them on, which is actually the Warriors Way of having balance across the core 4, that all of a sudden they're like, I have no balance. They're like, I might actually be going backwards. And that is something that I see all the time, that I'm like, okay, reel it back in. But I know part of it is excitement, because they're so excited. There's a new method. They want to do more of it. Like they want to learn more.
You get addicted to the growth.
Oh, yeah.
And so in being addicted to the growth, you just keep piling it on, saying, well, I'm changing my mindset and I'm living this way. And you're like, you're actually regressing now because your eyeballs look like they're going to pop out of your head. Like, you know.
That's my favorite when I see Garrett and he's like, Val, you got the crazy eyes.
She's like, no, I don't. I'm like, ah.
I'm super calm and collected, Garrett. I don't know what you're talking about.
Garrett likes to tell me, he's like, Ani, you have the best poker face I've ever seen, but underneath is a hurricane. And then I just sit there stoic. I'm
can't you tell when you look at somebody, and I don't know how to describe it other than they just look like dead in the eyes. You're like, you've lost the light. Come back to the light. Like, there's no other way to describe it other than you're like, come on. Like, you know, like,
right.
You're like, you're gone. Where'd you go?
So meltdown mode, we've all had meltdowns. Like I've seen them happen to literally every person on the team at this point. How often do you feel like they come for you? Because I know, Val, you just said like you can recognize pretty quickly when it's coming. And you even said something to me yesterday that I was like, Interesting.
Yeah, as soon as I feel like the emotion, I'd say probably like every 3 months. I'm probably in like a 3-month cycle of like I get going. And it's because you're addicted to the growth and I love it and you see results so fast and you're like, I don't want to stop this. Like I love seeing the results and you just get like so addicted. But then you're like looking around and I'm like, I'm fucking some shit up. Like, no, I gotta like reel it back in.
It's a balance in between growth and threshold, don't you think?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you stay stagnant and you're like, I don't want to explode, but then you're in this place, you're like, I've been really like chill for too long. And so it's really even like creating that balance within your emotions so that you can like not stay stagnant and be addicted to the growth, but addicted to the growth on a healthy level. And life has times and seasons, and so does everything in progressing and moving forward.
Yep.
I don't know if I've ever had a moment where I'm like, I've been chill for too long. I don't know if I've had that.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I now, because we have so much help on the team. And I used to be that person that was, I'm not a detail person. And when I was first doing classes and doing hair and doing everything else and my own marketing, I literally had crazy eyes for a good solid 3 years. And I was like, but then when things would slow down, I would get anxiety. Like they would slow down and I'd be like, oh my God, it's going to all come crashing down again. I know it, because I experienced, like we had experienced like going from nothing to like having to rebuild. And I was like, I'd get this anxiety panic attack, like, oh shit, I'm not like, I'm in a peaceful place. This is scary. But then I just had to like kind of like embrace that and reel it back in. But like also I don't feel like I'm stagnant. And so it's weird when you're used to that hustle and that grind, when you like kind of step back and you can like appreciate where things are and you're like, and there's like a calm, and you have to embrace that like calm and know that measure things based on results too, because the speed that I was trying to do everything on my own isn't something that I could have sustained. You know what I mean? It's just not. Yeah. So I even think with you guys and everybody that's on the team, we all have our seasons of like the craziness, you know what I mean? Where it's like, and I'll see it with Ani and I'll see it with Val and I'm like, their head's gonna pop off. But I just know like that's when we have to readjust things as a team, and we're like, hey, we've all been there, we need help, and then we slowly start to grow the more we can let go. And I've experienced that on so many levels. It's like I used to think I was protecting my business by doing everything and micromanaging it, and like then all of a sudden so many times like a voice would come to me and be like, you need to let it go, and I'd be like, you can fuck right off, because I'm not letting shit go. And I thought of it as like, I won't surrender, I will always work hard. But what I realized is like in order for it to grow, I had to let go and delegate and let other people jump on the team, and it was no longer about serving me, but it was serving multiple families and peoples and you guys and everybody on the team, you know? So it's just like, it's the hardest thing when you're addicted to that hustle and that grind, is stepping back and being like, I'm not the only one that's going to make this shit rise to the top, you know? And it's going to take an army of us to do it, including the students on board. So
Well, I know even Val and I were having a conversation yesterday, and she was like, you should probably take some time off this coming week. I'm like, I'm taking a couple days. She's like, you kind of need it. She's like, she goes, Ani, she's like, think about it. These past 8 months for you have been fucking insanity. I'm like, no, it's been fine. She's like, are you insane? She's like, you moved across the country by yourself to a brand new place, started 2 brand new jobs. You left a fiance, and shit doesn't ever slow down here. Like, it's only been going. She's like, you've been good, that you really haven't had like a true meltdown, but she's like, you might be close. I'm like, no. And even Garrett was like, Ani, you're going to have to slow down. I'm like, nope. But I find myself in that place of resistance. I'm like, it's cool. I got it. Don't worry. And then some nights I'm like,
like panic.
You might actually. I don't feel like I ever hit panic mode, because for me to panic, like some shit has to just be like, I can't handle, like, out of my complete control.
But if you were sustaining this for, like, the next 5 years, say, even, and then all of a sudden you're like, I mean, if I would be like, shit, I don't have anybody in my life with a relationship. I don't have friends. Like, you can't get so sucked into work where you have no balance everywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really sustain that. You would look back and be like, I love work, but I wish I did. I think you'd be regretful if you were like, I wish I would have, like, done more. You know what I mean? So, and it slips by so quickly. I think that a lot of times in life, people were like, I'm just going to hit the grind. And then they're like, oh, shit, it's been 8 years. I've been grinding for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like, even for me, like you guys know, I was trying to get, like, pregnant this year. And I have 2 little girls, and I always thought I'd have, like, 3 or 4 little munchkins running around. And so for me, because I was in this place of grind and build for so long, I'd be like, one more year. And now I'm in this panic place, like, oh, fuck, if I'm going to have one, it's got to be right now. And I don't want to regret things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this was like a 7-year span that all of a sudden slipped by, and I'm like, my little baby is 7 now. If I have another kid, it's like they're gonna be 8 years apart. And I was like, I didn't think I'd be that girl that was gonna have these huge gaps. But life just slips away from you, and you don't really see it. And so you have to like. I think even I waited so long where I didn't recognize it, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get on this. But it's just crazy how time can slip by without even recognizing it almost.
Well, I've been told I can't have kids till I'm 37, so I'm really hoping that day comes sometime.
Ryan told me he won't give me any more. Hey, Ryan, if you're listening.
You dick.
I'm not even allowed to have them, so I don't know where that puts me at this point. But
I'll have one for all of us, guys. It's cool.
The salon baby. I'm excited.
I don't know if that would work for me exactly, but I hear what you're saying with that. But no, it's true. And I've even come to realize, like, with myself that, yeah, like, I love working. Like, I never have a problem. But then I'm like, shit, here I am teaching the Warriors way to all these women. And, like, inside of BMS, I'm like, I don't fucking live this shit. I'll be the first to admit it. I sit down some days and I'm like, fucking A, man. Like, you should probably learn to reel it in at some point. But then like, I feel like it just catches me all over again. I swear it's like a fishing line. Like, all of a sudden, like, I'm hooked all over again. I'm like, because I sat here and I've been having this week. I'm like, okay, well, I can slow down maybe a little, but then I'm like, we have 2 boot camps in August and Warrior Week for women. Then September, we have 4 BMS intensives. And then we have Warrior Wealth Summit we have 4 intensives in September. October, we have 4 intensives. Then the Warrior Well Summit. Then November, we have 2 conventions. I'm like, I'll slow down in December.
I'll slow down in 5 years. It's fine.
I'm like, I'll slow down in December. But then I'm like, but then December, we'll have a 1-month break before we start more intensive classes that we've already sold out, basically, from BMS Khan 3. I'm like, maybe. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I should probably take that break Val talked about.
It's like there's no good time. It's like, and that's how I
There isn't, but you have to, like,
you have to
do little pockets. Like, I learned that over convention. And that was the first time I had, like, the aha moment was the last convention that I was like, I felt like I was getting to that point where I wasn't having like any balance. I think I'd worked like 21 days straight in a row and just like no sleep and like, you know how it is working mom, and I had missed like the last day of school, like Ryan and I's anniversary. Like I just was like, oh, what am I doing? And I don't need, which I just came from, a week-long vacation. I don't need that, but I need little pockets where I do get off when the sun is still awake, the sun is still out, and I can have a dinner with the family throughout the week every now and then. And, like, just doing those little tiny things for me, that's what recharges me. And then I can go longer and further. But if I go so long because that's what I used to do, I'd be like, okay, Ryan, see you in July when we don't have events, or see you in December when we don't have events, you know? And then just, like, hustle that whole way through. But I do better if I have little tiny pockets of time. I don't need like a huge thing, but just to maintain that daily balance so that it keeps me going and propelling me forward in my career daily, you know?
That's why I think for me, like Garrett would always be like, I don't want to travel. I'm not going to travel. And for me, I think that's why I made such a big deal about family trips and then trips with just him and I, because sometimes when you're having just those little pockets, it's great, but sometimes you need like a week.
Yeah, you do. You need both, actually.
Yeah, I was like, because I mean, we plan 2 big family trips a year, and we probably take like 3 or 4 like little weekend trips with him and I a year. And I feel like those are enough because we're both busy and working and moms and whatever. And I feel like that's enough to kind of like reconnect and refuel. And I feel like Val and I just got off a vacation, so we're recharged.
We're chill.
Do my eyes look crazy, guys?
Yours is next week, or no, this week. It's in 2 days.
Tomorrow?
I leave Wednesday.
Where are you going?
On a journey of self-discovery. That's where I'm going.
Are you going to New York? Where are you going?
Nope, not canceled New York.
Where are you going?
I'm telling you, it's a journey of self-discovery. I'm just keeping it private until I get back. Then I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Until
then,
do
you have a plan where you're going?
I have a plan.
Okay.
It's
I was like, do you have a flight booked or?
No.
I was like, otherwise I'm worried I'm just gonna find you at BMS with a sleeping bag.
I was like, can you do random check-ins so we know you're alive?
If I never show back up, someone murdered me along the road, guys.
Yeah, you gotta tell us when you go where you're at, so we just make sure you're alive.
I cannot guarantee that. I think my phone might be off for a couple days.
You're going to like.
I already gave Morgan very strict instructions. I'm like,
this
is what you do.
Somebody knows. Somebody knows, right?
No.
Nobody knows.
No. I gave Morgan strict instructions on what to do while I'm
gone. This show's about protection. I'd like to protect you and when you go, murderers.
I'm just trying to protect BMS and get my head on straight, guys. But I think one of the biggest problems I've seen even inside of like BMS and Warrior and like the artists, like everything is, I think it's even not that protection is hardest for the single people, but there is no like, oh, well, I should go home to my husband, my wife, and my kids. Totally. There is none of that. So grind mode is almost harder to get out of because I find it even when I go home, I almost feel guilty having that time off. I'm like, I could like sit and chill and make dinner, watch a movie maybe, but I could get this stuff done, and this stuff needs to be done. And if I don't do it, no one's gonna fucking do it. So
I would say when you're in a relationship or you have kids, it's different. Like, it's harder to take time for yourself than it is to be like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with kids and family. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool if I have like a couple hours to myself a week, and other than that, I'm like, nah, I'd rather stay busy. You know? And so I think in your position it is, but at some level, I see this with a lot of women. A lot of clients come in and sit in my chair, and they're maybe not married, or they have kids, or they don't have kids, and it's like I can think of one particular client who's been a client of mine for like 5 years, and I'm like, she's so cute, and she won't. I'm like, you need to get out there, and like, she's like, I can get out there and hang out and date, and she's like, I just don't care. Like, I'd rather be working. It's funner for me. And there's like this element of like, you don't want to like get out of your comfort zone that way. You know what I mean? And so, or it's like you'd rather be doing work because that's fun. And so sometimes, but then like 5 years goes by and you're like, oh crap. So it's like you almost have to like force yourself to kind of like go on trips for yourself, or meet new people, or do things like that, because then you don't. I don't want you to be the cat lady. Is all I'm saying.
I'm allergic to cats. Don't worry.
The dog lady.
I think too, like with protection, and like you are the person who has to protect yourself. So you are the only person who has to like set up the boundaries, because no one's gonna do it for you. So like you have to say like, these are my work hours, or this is what I'm doing. This is like, and you have to decide, and it's different for each person. But like as a hairstylist, you have to decide, these are my work days, these are my hours, and this is what I'm delegating or deciding that this is gonna be my kid time, this is gonna be my family time, this is gonna be my me time, this is the day that I'm doing vacation. No one's gonna come to you and like, you know what, I feel like, you've been working a lot, Val, so I'm not gonna ask you for that 8 o'clock appointment. They're always gonna fucking ask, until you've set up those boundaries. So you have to be the one to set them up, and you have to be firm in them for other people to respect them, because no one's gonna come to you and be like, yeah, you don't have to work anymore, or no, I don't need that. Like, you don't have to stay late. Like, you have to be the one to decide what that looks like, and it's different for each person. But if you're not happy in something, guess what? You can change it, and you can change your boundaries on what works for you. And other people, you'll be surprised how much they respect it. I
think we hear that a lot in the hair industry, and people will whine and bitch and moan about working till 11 p.m. at night, or working on a Saturday, or coming in on a Sunday. And when it's like, you're the only one who created that story for yourself. And I think and I get it. Like, I even for so many years, like, it's hard to say no to money, especially when you're self-employed. And a lot of hairdressers are pretty much like self-employed. And even if they're commission-based, they still like, they don't want to turn down money. Do you know what I mean? Totally. And so that we get into this place where everybody runs our schedule because we don't want to say no to the money. And then we wonder why we burn out. And I had done this so many years in a row. And I think I finally got to this place where I was like, no. I finally took a stand, and I was like, I'm only working 3 days a week. I'm only taking at the time I was taking like 4 clients a day, which was still a lot. And I was like, that's all I'm doing. And then I kept scaling back. And it was weird. The minute I decided to own that and say, I'm only going to work this amount of time behind the chair. Then the next time when I decided to scale back, it was like I took back control of my life and my schedule. And when people would say, oh, you're cutting back again, I didn't feel guilty about it. Because in the beginning, when I would cut back, people would be like, oh, but I'm your VIP client. Can't you get me? And
my favorite's that must be nice. You bitch.
But see, that's the problem in our industry is we think you bitch. But what we're saying, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and saying, you're a fucking bitch, Danielle, because you decided that you would let them dictate your schedule. And now that they're saying, I'm a VIP client, and you're caving and you're feeling guilty. So now I decided I don't feel guilty for that anymore. If somebody says I'm a VIP, I'm like, you will always be a VIP, and you'll be a VIP that comes in on my schedule. Yeah. And it is totally what it is. And they're like, haha, I love you. And I'm like, exactly. And I love me too. And that's why I'm going to keep my schedule the way it is. And it's all about respecting yourself in order to respect others. And I think that hairdressers lose all respect for themselves and become what we call the slave behind the chair, because they don't protect anything they're building.
And something else, because we're wrapping up pretty quickly now, and something else that I think is really cool is having team members who also know you so well. Because there are times where had you not said that to me yesterday, I never would have even thought it. I'm just like, it's just a rough week. That's all it is. I'll be fine. Give me a couple more days. And you're like,
you need a break.
And I think that's what's cool about having team members who know you so well and truly and deeply, genuinely love you and care about you, to be like, okay, you look insane right now, and this comes from a place of love, but you might need a day of break. You know what I mean? To really kind of, because I feel like if someone weren't to say it to me, I'd be like, no, I'm good. It's fine. I'll have a meltdown later on for sure. But in that moment, I'll be like, no, I'm good. I got this. So, all right. Final words on protection.
I guess I don't know. My whole thing with protection is protect yourself, protect your mindset, respect yourself. And I think that if you go in with that approach, you'd be surprised how things are so less emotional and they're more logical.
Yeah.
And you're just like, no, these are my boundaries, and people will respect whatever you choose to build. So just on the topic of protection, I would say start off on the right foot and set up your boundaries. If you're a hairstylist, it's not too late to go in and say, I'm only working these days and these hours, and hold strong to it, because the only person who is really going to let you down is yourself. And don't come at a client and say, if they're like, oh, like, don't get irritated at a client. I mean, just say, it's business, it is what it is, and don't go into that emotional state, and speak to it from a place of business. And I always tell hairdressers, you're in the business of making money, and I know that we feel like we're friends and we're therapists to all our clients, but at the same time, you have to treat your business like an actual business. So
Definitely.
Anyway, Val?
I think boundaries can change like as you evolve and you change.
Yeah.
So if it's not working for you anymore, adjust your boundaries. Yeah. But you have to be the one to do that first and foremost for anyone else to show you that same respect. So it starts and ends with you.
Beautiful. So on that note, we are ending episode number 29 on protection. And listen next week while episode 30. It just sounds weird to be like getting that high up now. While
30 is so young.
30 sounds really old, unlike us 20s, but it's cool, guys. So on that note, tune in next week while we go over the topic of power.